Real talk with Fierce Fighter. For every parent raising a hand, for every child needing a chance, for every classroom left behind, we speak the truth out loud tonight. Newark, I hear you, I see you, I stand with you. We don't ask for scraps, we ask for justice. Education is equity, equity is power, power belongs to the people, and the people won't be silenced. Real talk, fierce fighter. Real talk for Newark. Real talk, we rise up. Real talk, we move forward. This is your voice. This is our city. This is the fight.
Good evening, and welcome to Real Talk with Fierce Fighter, where our voices matter, our stories matter, and our community matters. Tonight's conversation is one that touches more people than we realize: mental health. So many people are silently carrying stress, anxiety, trauma, depression, exhaustion, grief, and emotional pain while still trying to show up for every single day for their families, jobs, children, and community. Tonight, we want to create a safe space for real conversation, healing, support, and awareness. It's not about judgment. It's about understanding that it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to ask for help. We're going to talk about breaking the stigma, protecting our peace, and supporting one another while mental health deserves just as much attention as physical health. So tonight I encourage everyone watching to be respectful, be open-minded, and remember that someone listening may truly need this conversation tonight. This is Real Talk with Fierce Fighter, real people, real issues, real change. Let's talk about it. And before I go into it, good evening, Quantum family. The views, opinions, statements, and the experiences shared on Real Talk with Fierce Fighter are intended for educational, informational, advocacy, commentary, and community discussion purposes only. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, research, advocacy, and public discussion. Any copyrighted media, clips, images, audio, video, screenshots, or materials used during this broadcast are used for transformative purposes, including commentary, criticism, education, awareness, and community discussion. All rights and credit belong to their respective owners. Okay, let's get started. Hi, Quantum. Yes, PTSD. Yeah, it's a topic that a lot of people don't really talk about, and I know in the Black community we really don't talk about mental health as much as we probably should. Normally, people go through. Some people use religion. Some people do therapy, but for the most part, some people just have conversations that they share with others or people that's closest to them. And sometimes it don't be good because sometimes the information gets shared out when they don't volunteer for their information to be shared out, and it causes other situations and circumstances. So I wanted to talk about mental health as a health issue. Is just as important as going to the doctor, going to the dentist every single month, or however often you go to the doctor. mental health is just as important. And I have a few videos that I wanted to share. One of them really hit home with me, and this is with Taraji P. Henson. And even though Taraji P. Henson is um, an actress, um, she talks about how she suffers, and she give a background of the mental health issues that she has encountered when she started out as a school teacher. I'm going to share that, but I'm going to give a few minutes and let a few more people come in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this live because we're really going to dive into the conversation about mental health. And it's very necessary, especially in Newark. I heard a few students talking about safe spaces inside the school and having some mental health resources available, and it's needed, with adults as well, community members. I mean, especially when you're dealing with showing up at work. You have a lot of responsibilities as a mother. If you're a single parent, there's a lot of responsibilities, and mental health plays an intricate part in your daily activities. And it's important to talk about it. It's important to share what you're thinking, what you're going through, rather than holding it and keeping it to yourself. And so I wanted to open up the floor and the conversation and a safe space so that we can begin the conversation. And I know a few years back, um, Newark had received some funding for mental health. But I remember when I started on my journey for sustainable community schools, and mental health was actually one of the pillars because there's six pillars to a sustainable community school, and it happens to be the second pillar because the first one is culturally relevant, culturally responsive curriculum, and then the second one is wraparound supports that we felt like, and still do, I still feel the same way, that the wraparound supports are very necessary in each and every school and each and every ward in this community. And the wraparound supports include ear care, eye care, um, mental health care, behavioral health care, all of that inside a school building would benefit the students, the teachers tremendously. Trauma informed care because our teachers, um, especially the ones that live in Newark, suffer from vicarious trauma, and those that work inside Newark public school districts suffer from vicarious trauma. The trauma that they receive from even hearing or seeing or learning that a child is experiencing some trauma outside of the classroom, because it's statistics state that um, anything that goes on inside the community, it normally spills over into the classroom. So, so if students have been exposed to, one second, guys, it was the music playing in the background. So if students are exposed to, any kind of violence in their home or any kind of violence in their community, it's usually brought into the classroom, and then the teacher experiences vicarious trauma. And so trauma informed practices, I believe, should the teachers, the educators, the village inside a school community should receive trauma informed training so that they can best assist the students in the classroom. But I like that Taraji P. Henson is using her platform to advocate for mental health resources, and I'm going to show that in just a little bit, where she shares her personal issues with being depressed and everything. And then it's multiple different mental health issues that people suffer from. Depression is one of them. You have some people who are schizophrenic, some people, I mean, and then let me just put out this disclaimer. I am in no way a doctor or a therapist, and I'm only going off of what I've studied, the information that I have. So if you have some information that you would like to share, feel free. This is a safe space. Comment, make sure you share, make sure you tag someone who might need to hear this conversation, who might even need to be a part of this conversation. And so let me just get this first video up, and then we're going to have a discussion about that. And thanks again for joining.
So much for having me here. I am here out of necessity. I founded this foundation because there was a problem. My father passed away in '06. 2 years prior to that, my son here in Washington, D.C. That's trauma, not only for my son, but for myself. When he was becoming a young man, not having his important male figures to look up to call upon questions about becoming a young African male, African American male in America. How does that work? What do I need to do? We didn't have it. And I noticed we started having some issues. It was time to seek help. When it was time to look for someone who I felt I could trust and also my son could trust, it was like looking for a unicorn. And I called my best friend, who is the executive director of my foundation, the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation, Tracy Jenkins. And we started doing our own research. And it dawned on me the reason why we don't have a mini psychiatrists, not that we don't have them, that they're not easily accessible, is because we in the African American community, we don't deal with mental health issues. We don't even talk about it. We've been taught to pray our problems away. We've been demonized for coming out saying we have issues, and we have trust issues. Um, I need the person sitting opposite from me when I go seek help for my mental to be culturally competent. And if you're not culturally competent, how can I trust you with my deepest secrets and with my vulnerability? So this foundation was founded, like I said, out of a necessity. I also, before becoming an actress, successful actress, I was a substitute teacher. I opted to teach special education children. Um, when I got my credentials and I started to go out into the world and sub, I got sent to Crenshaw. And I thought I was going to a school for special needs kids. And when I got there, I was in a room full of all Black young males labeled special ed. Uh, None of them were in wheelchairs. They could all speak, they could walk, they had all of their facilities. As I stayed in the school, I started talking to the young men. Of course, I started finding out that they were going home to parents, no parents being home. One kid was found walking along the train tracks wandering, no parents at home. One kid was arrested for stealing, just merely wanted to eat, needed something to eat because there were no parents at home. At a 7-Eleven, he got caught stealing. Just things were not right with me. I just, that sat with me and it bothered me because I'm raising a young Black man. And when I proceeded to try and teach these young men, they believe this label that had been placed upon them. I'm special ed, Miss Henson, I can't learn that. Another thing that bothered me was children normalizing shootouts. I got to school another day and kids are grabbing me by the hand and they're going, Miss Henson, look, there was a shootout last night, pointing to the bullet holes in the walls of their school, laughing. We're expecting these children to come from traumatic experiences at home, and we're expecting them to go to school and learn, and it's just not fair. We can't give up on our kids, and I think that's where it starts. I think we implement mental illness or mental health as education in school. It needs to be a subject, just like sex education was a physical education. We need to talk about it. The more we talk about it, the more people will feel like they can talk about it. I really don't know how to fix this problem. I just know that this suicide rate is rising. I just know the ages of the children that are committing suicide are getting younger and younger. It breaks my heart to know that 5-year-old children are contemplating life and death. Sorry. That one is tough for me. So I'm here to appeal to you because this is a national crisis. Um, when I hear of kids going into bathrooms cutting themselves, you're supposed to feel safe at school. I'm here using my celebrity, using my voice to put a face to this, because I also suffer from depression and anxiety. And if you're a human living in today's world, I don't know how you're not suffering in any way. I mean, if you turn on the news, that's PTSD right there. We need each other. This is me reaching across the table, trying to lend a helping hand in the best way I can. We have to save our children.
Thank you.
So yeah, she said something that really resonated with me. I don't know if Fakira, welcome, welcome, welcome. I don't know if you heard the entire speech that Taraji P. Henson discussed, but she said that based upon her being a substitute teacher in a California school, she feels very strongly about schools adopting a curriculum for mental health, a mental health curriculum. And I'm all game for that. It makes sense to me, seriously, for the school systems all across this country to implement mental health as a curriculum, because we did have sex education, excuse me, sex education. We had that, where we learned about the anatomy of the body. So I don't understand why that would be a hard ask, right? So that's something that we can really considering, um, requesting, starting a conversation surrounding mental health curriculum, so that we can get a better understanding, and not so much as a better understanding, but so that in the Black community we can get that therapy that we need, because people from the youth to adults suffer from some traumatic experience, and it's infecting and impacting everything around them, and they don't know. When people are walking around with mental health issues and mental illness, and they don't know it, And they think that what they're doing is normal when it's not normal, right? Hang on a bit, y'all. Okay, I had to plug up the laptop. It told me it was dying. But yeah, so I think that that's a critical conversation that we can definitely get behind. At least we can try to get behind it and appeal it to the legislators, because that's where it would go to. For the curriculum or the New Jersey Department of Education. We can start working on that over the summer, to ask them, to incorporate mental health inside the curriculum so that we can become more aware and we can talk about it more and we can grow and heal from it, right? Let's see what Fakira said. Generational curses, absolutely. Let's get the children to properly heal. I agree. Exactly. Exactly. And we have resources in case people don't know. We do have some some organizations in the city of Newark where they discuss and go over trauma and healing from trauma and the like, whether we know that or not. But I believe that mental health is an issue that we need to address, just like we go to the doctor every 6 months or however you frequent the doctor. Mental health is necessary just as well. If you go to the dentist, mental health is the same. It's the same, and so it should be treated as such. Now that I'm properly trauma informed and properly healing, I understand. Yes, yes, and a lot of people don't like to acknowledge that they suffer from trauma or they suffer from mental illness. Some people don't even know that they're suffering from mental illness. I sit back and I watch the things that a lot of people do because I'm very intrigued by the behavior of people. What makes, I always ask myself when I was younger, what makes a person do the things that they do and say the things that they say, you know, when they think that they're perfectly normal and then they normalize the behavior, they normalize the mental illness and it just don't be normal at all. You know, I know a few people I wanted to tell them, maybe you need to go get some help. It's nothing wrong with seeing a therapist. Yep, Fakira, she said, yep. You know, mental illness sometimes is hereditary. I know that. And then sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's circumstantial. It comes on by the circumstances in your life. I have mental illness and I see a therapist. Absolutely. You know, don't forget about the adults who are psycho. Yes, the adults, some adults in our community really need to seek therapy. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, let me tell you about my traumatic experience last year. Like, for instance, I had just moved where I live now, and I didn't know, nobody, that lived here, the person that lived here prior. However, last year in April, this year makes 1 year and 30 days to be exact. I lived here and I was awakened to a loud banging on my door, and I had just gotten off of work. I was working the 5 p.m. to 2 o'clock in the morning shift. And sometimes we went all the way to 4 o'clock in the morning. And that particular morning, it was about 5 in the morning when they were banging and everything on my door. I had literally just gotten out the shower and knocked out. And I got up and they were looking for, I guess, someone who previously lived in this apartment. And I don't know who this person is. Heck, I was half asleep. So long story short, um, they were asking about the person, and I didn't know the person, who they were looking for. I did explain to them that I had just recently moved there, in 2023. I just recently moved here, and I didn't know who they were talking about and the sort, right? So fast forward. I had recently moved here. So now let's go to last year. Last year, same thing, the same thing. But this time it was different. So this time when they came, they had big guns out. When I tell you it was every kind of law enforcement at my door. My son was visiting at the time. The dog was barking. And when we finally opened up the door, I was in my room sleep, woke up, in my room sleep. I was incoherent. I didn't know, what was happening and everything because they woke me up out my sleep. And next thing you know, we opened up the door. We had flashlights and big guns in our face. And they were saying, get down. And they were calling out this name saying, come out, come out. And I'm like, I don't even know who you talking. Me and my son are looking at each other like we don't even know who you're talking about. We don't even know who you're looking for. We don't know this person, and we kept expressing that to them. Who is that? We don't know who that is. Long story short, I only had on the t-shirt, right? Because I'm in my bed. I had on the t-shirt, and they pulled me out into the hallway. No socks, no shoes, no nothing, just a t-shirt. Pulled us out into the hallway, and they came and they tore up my house looking for this person that they called out. I can't even remember the name. They pulled us out in the hallway. I didn't know what they were doing. They closed the door. They wouldn't allow us to grab our phones. They wouldn't allow me back inside my apartment. And then when they finally let us in, they locked me in my bedroom. They had a police officer holding a gun, to me in my bedroom. And she wouldn't let me leave. I kind of tried to record her, and she was saying, where you going? I'm saying, I'm going to management because this can't keep happening. And so as a result of all of that, it traumatized me. It traumatized me really bad that I literally, when it got me a therapist, I went over there to UMD and J, right, excuse me, right there on South Orange Avenue is the entrance. I went in there and I went and got me a therapist. And I did therapy, I believe, for about a month. I did therapy for a month, and it was very traumatic for me. Very traumatic. So now when the dog bark, it's like, do I even go to the door? So I'm just saying, like, I understand that, it might come back, it might happen again. I don't know. But it definitely was traumatizing. It was very traumatizing. And then, okay, that was in April of last year. If I thought that was traumatizing, man. So I did the therapy. And then in August, I experienced another traumatic incident. It's just trauma after trauma after trauma. And this here, right here, is the platform, for that, to talk about it, and I talk about it. And for a long time, that last event that happened in August, it had me depressed. And when I tell you, and I can share this because that's what this platform is for, because I didn't go into deep depression, but I went into depression. I was depressed. Like, why did I even move back here? And it was just so many things going on, with my granddaughter being missing, and then the people that I had in my circle that played a part in it, just very traumatic for me. So I went into a depression. I didn't want to eat. I didn't, I just wanted to sleep, just sleep the day away. You know, I didn't even want to clean up. And I'm going to be real honest and transparent with y'all, you know, because some people are experiencing that and they don't know, you know, that they're depressed. But I didn't go into a deep depression. I snapped up out of it, right? I snapped up out of it and I was like, you know what? I know I put it behind me, but I still remember, you know, I still remember and I still can't allow that to hold me back from, my daily activities and everything. And I got it together, eventually. But when I tell you it was very traumatic and it could have turned out a whole different way. I could have stayed in a state of depression, but thank God I didn't. I had some people around me, that was saying, you could do better, you this, and just encouraging me and everything. And that's the key thing. When you have experienced some trauma, or if you're going through circumstantial situations that causes you, to tap out a little bit. You need some strong people around you that's going to encourage you, that's not going to take their foot and put it down on your neck, and hold you down. You need people around you. You need to talk about it. You need to get it out, because you can't, you don't have to go it alone. You need a strong support system, you know. And so this next video is a woman who, it's about a woman who went into depression. She went into depression, and I'm not going to tell you no more about it. I'm just going to let you view it, but just hear her story, you know. But there's people in our community right now that, need to get them some help for real. And you can tell by the posts, you know, sometimes people get offended when you tell them the truth. But I mean, I would want somebody being honest, open and honest with me, so that I can shine that mirror in front of myself and see what they seeing, so that I can correct it. Should be able to we should be able to correct each other. But these, like Fakira said, generational curses. These are, the Black community has been traumatized, since the onset of slavery, and it's just been passed down. And in the Black community, they don't, receive the therapy or the help that they need, because they think that it's corny, or they think that, I'm crazy if I go to a therapist. But you're not crazy, you're not crazy. You're just going to get some help for your brain, just like you go get help for a broken arm or ailing stomach, or a headache that you can't get rid of, and you go see a doctor. Mental health is the same way. You have to go see somebody, to get some kind of help for it. But I'm gonna share this video. It's not long. It's about 7 minutes. It's about 7 minutes, and it's something that we need to talk about in the Black community.
Walden Glenn. I am 42 years old and I live in Buffalo, New York. I am blessed to have 13 children total, ranging from 26 years old to 13 years old. Part of what drew me to Buffalo is I have a son who is uniquely abled, and he gets the best health care here.
Breaking news out of Buffalo, New York, where authorities say at least 10 people are dead after a mass shooting at a supermarket.
I looked at my phone and saw my husband's photo. So I answered the phone and he told me, he said, something terrible is happening. and a lot of people trying to call you. And I had missed, I don't know, several calls. And so I called her and she said, you need to get to Tops right now. There's a shooting happening out there. May 14th brought up a lot of questions for my children. I think it brought up a lot of questions for a lot of us. Right after it happened, in all honesty, I didn't know how to answer any of the questions. My kids wanted to know why. They wanted to understand how somebody so young could have so much hate. I think in the beginning, I didn't recognize how much so, but I found myself like any sudden movement, any out of the ordinary noises, I was flinching. I was kind of jumpy. I'm definitely on edge. Definitely more aware of my surroundings and watching who's around me when I'm in spaces like stores or community spaces. My family and I have safety plans all the time. We've gotten very good at looking for all the exits when we're in places. Like, this has now become our norm. Returning to church was difficult. My very first time going back to church after the shooting, I went in and I was sitting in the back of the church, and I saw the ushers bringing in a white gentleman that I had never, like, he's never been to our church before. And I remember I couldn't focus on service. So I can't tell you what was preached about that day. All I could do was watch this person. Even once I knew security knew they were there, is watch them. And I was terrified for myself, my own kids. And it made me feel very helpless. But my faith is what grounds me. My faith is what keeps me. I will be honest, I definitely struggled during the immediate time after May 14th, because like I said, it's hard to understand. It's hard to understand seeing that level of hate and violence show up. But because I have seen incredible things that God has done in my life and in the life of so many other people, and also it's given me the strength to really love on and support others. Mental health and wellness is something that I'm very passionate about. It means a lot to me. I am a practitioner and a trainer of restorative practices. And so that was something that very soon after the shooting, we were very aware, like, we needed to have that in place. So yes, my family is receiving mental health services, and not just necessarily what we see as traditional therapy, but a lot of non-traditional mental health services, like art therapy, music therapy, movement therapy, and things that, yes, it helps us learn to deal with our anxiety, our breathing, but also just gives us joy. My kids come alongside me in this work, and not just because it's mom's work, but because they believe in it. And so my hopes and dreams for my children is I just want them to be able to be everything that they were divinely created to be. I want them to know that they have the ability to thrive. These are things I want for my children, but these are not just my children. It's okay, right? Like, it's okay to struggle. It's okay to have the emotions that you have. But I also would want folks to not go through that alone. Reach out, put community around yourself, and find things like how I've found that putting up positivity all around me is helpful for me. Try things to find out what is helpful to you, what makes you smile. And there's nothing wrong with needing help and needing community and needing support. We as human beings were created that way. We are taught to be strong and resilient, and that we should have it within our own know-with-all to get through everything. But that is a myth. That is not true. We have to walk in our own liberation, our own freedom, which starts in our mind and in our heart, and realizing that we have the ability to be part of creating what we want to see in our communities and our lives. And I'm honored to walk in it every day.
Ahead, we expand the conversation with a spotlight on solutions
Yep. So that's what vicarious trauma look like. And let me tell you, she's a pastor. And I don't know if you're familiar with that Buffalo incident that took place, but she wasn't even there, but she was called to it. And she suffered from vicarious trauma. She wasn't there, but because she's seen it, she witnessed, the hurt and pain from others. It traumatized her, and a lot of people are dealing with vicarious trauma and they don't want to get themselves no help. But there's nothing wrong. I like that she said, she gave some suggestions on getting help, right? And how she and what she used to overcome her trauma that she experienced on that day. So I don't know. I don't know if you're experiencing anything, but I want to encourage you to talk about it, to go see somebody, to get some help. It's nothing wrong with receiving help from outside resources, from a therapist, talking to somebody, going to maybe some swimming, go swimming, do some art therapy, like she stated. Just find something constructive to do when you start experiencing things that you can't control. So then this last video we're gonna watch, this is more so more deeper depression, where people had experienced a deep depression, and this is with the youth. This one young lady is very young, and I wanted to share her story because we do have some young people who don't know the answers, and I don't know all of the answers, and we all don't know the answers, but collectively, when we work together and toward therapy, we can all get some help and grow. But yeah, so for the last few minutes, if you all don't have no questions, if you don't have anything to say, then I'll just move on to this last one that I have, and that should kind of start the conversation going regarding mental health, because it's definitely needed, especially in Newark, New Jersey, where mental health is just going to rise across the country. And even with police officers, I feel like they should be trauma informed and trained in mental health as well, so that they can best help, best assist, because it's not all the time that one is committing a crime or doing something that warrants an arrest, right? It doesn't warrant an arrest. Hi, Kay, I made it. Hello, oh, I'm going to rewatch. Oh, you're going to be a part of the replay game. Yeah. It's not totally over, you know. Um, but you missed Taraji P. Henson, so yeah, you got to go back and replay it all over again, because she says something that really resonated, that I really would like to, and I hope that you all can help me. Would be more than likely to help me put together something them for the New Jersey Department of Education to at least consider the one idea that Taraji P. Henson talked about. And I'm not going to tell the whole thing. You got to go back and replay it. But she said something that resonated with me, that I would like to help with everybody tonight. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, tag somebody in this live. She talked about how we go to our medical doctor frequently, right? Whether you go monthly, every 6 months, or however often you go. And then she talked about how we go see the dentist and everything and things of that nature. And she stated that we should treat mental health as such, right? And I agree. She also stated that we have um, we have health in our curriculum, right? We have health in our curriculum. Why not include mental health in our curriculum? And so that makes sense to me because we learned about our anatomy. We learned about eating properly. We learned they touch like softly on, the blood, HIV and AIDS and things of that nature. They talk about drugs, right, in the health class in school. So why not talk about mental health, where our community, our students can get that kind of education, and then we need to start, talking about it more because we don't really talk about it in the Black community, right? Because Black people, some of us don't feel like we need to see a therapist because we deem it as being crazy, but it's really not. It's really not. It's just really getting the help that you need, just the same way that you go see a gynecologist for your bottom part. You got to go see a mental health, professional for your brain. And it's not being crazy. So I'm going to share this last video right here, and we're going to wrap it up. We're going to wrap it up because mental health, I want to continue this conversation because it's definitely necessary. So this might be part one, but then I really want to do a part two because we really need to go really deep into what mental health looks like, because there's many different phases of mental health. And me, for one, I grew up in a home where my uncle suffered from severe PTSD, where he adopted a mental health crisis called schizophrenia, right? So mental health was in my family. So, I lived through that growing up as a kid, but I really want to dig deeper into the mental health crisis because it's not just happening in Newark, but it's happening all across the country. And yes, I feel like police need to be trained really on mental health, because every arrest, it doesn't mean that you need to arrest everybody. You just need to know how to handle that trauma, that person that's experiencing trauma, or that person that's depressed, or that person that's demonstrating mental health, mental illness. I feel like they should be better equipped at handling the people in this community. But I'm not gonna hold you long. The video about to start.
Because sometimes when you have a mental illness, you feel so different. It's like you're not even, you feel so disconnected. Like I can't even feel like other people feel. When I would burn myself, the sound of the needle hitting my skin, I could hear my skin burning. It brings back that, okay, I am human, I am here because I can feel this pain.
I went to prison twice. Both times it was drug related. My first time going to prison is when they put all the labels on me. The psychiatrist will talk to you for 5 minutes and give you a diagnosis. And 9 chances out of 10, it's wrong. And you really shouldn't be there, because that's taking the guy that has mental challenges and placing him with the guy that's just a straight up criminal. And you know what's going to happen. It's going to be trouble.
When I was 8 years old, my mother and father asked me who I wanted to live with. And I chose my father. And that really, really hurt her. At that time, she could not see that I was just a child. She just saw someone who she loved leaving her. And so as a result, I hated myself for it. It was a very traumatic event for me because I was like simultaneously disowned by both of my parents. So I think that is what really brought about the depression and the anxiety, because I couldn't understand why I was even born, why I was even here. And so I started to do a lot of self mutilization. I looked really ugly and just disgusting. I just felt like I was just a worthless person.
I can say the trauma and the scars that we carry and the pain that we carry. And it's not okay to talk about it, you know, and I don't care because the truth needs to come out.
I didn't want to die without having my voice heard. I felt like there was some reason why I had gone through the things that I had gone through, and there was some reason why I have depression, and people need to understand that. And I feel like that couldn't be something that could be written in a suicidal note.
So a lot of my experiences, I didn't realize how painful they were until I became mature. You know, and then I realized the hurt that I carried and the reason that I acted out in the way that I did.
This kind of self-hatred within ourselves. It's this perception that everybody else has around us. We've taken it in and we've kind of lived it out.
I feel like it's something wrong to admit that you have some form of mental challenge.
Taboo in the African American community it can be hard. Both my mother and father have that they're carrying that weight of our ancestors, of their parents and what they went through. So much mental damage was done to the African American community through slavery.
They'd much rather tell you that they got AIDS before they tell you that they have some form of mental illness. And it's just that much stigma.
When you're seeking help, when you're trying to become well, if you get a deep cut and you go to the doctor, you don't say, "Oh, that's a white thing. I'm not gonna go to the doctor. My leg is bleeding and I'm losing feeling, but I'm not gonna go to the doctor."
The first thing you have to do is remove the so-called stigma from it.
Because African American people need to really comprehend what mental health illness is before we can proceed with any other, area of achievement in America.
Today I'm challenged because I suffer from major depression. And I'm fortunate to find a man that treated the depression and not just zonked me out so I wouldn't be a problem.
Everybody needs support. Everybody has that one person or that friend or whoever, relative, whoever, that they call on when they just need to talk to somebody. And that's really what therapy is.
And I finally started to believe that I had a chance, that I was gonna be okay, after so many people told me I would never make it. And I do mean so many people.
The moment that I actually found out I was having a daughter, the first, I honestly cried. But now that I have my daughter, she is like my saving grace. I'm trying to focus on just letting Zion be a kid and focus on what I tell her, the words that I use, because I think that we kind of forget that our kids, maybe our kids, but they're human beings in the making. And the things that we teach them, the things that we do to them has a huge effect on what they do in their adult lives and what they're going to do to their children.
Being a Black man, it's very hard to show any kind of fear or show any kind of feeling sometimes. But because it's just not socially acceptable. Those kids are yours. Yeah, well, I want my kids to be honest. I don't want them to live the lie. The chain snapped with me. My boys will never go through what I went through.
Yep. So, as you can see, mental health has so many faces, and the community really needs it. Really need to talk about it, and we really need to address mental health in our community. It's so much to cover that I'm gonna do a part 2 to this series because I want to take a deeper dive into the different aspects of mental illness and how extremely disrupts um, it disrupts a life. It disrupts the lives of loved ones around, like just in general, just knowing what to do, knowing what to say, knowing how to um address it is a big deal. It's a big deal. You know, like Taraji P. Henson said, it needs to be taught in schools. It do. It really do need to be taught in schools. And if we can, I want to work toward that. And I know that we do have some programs that do address it, but I don't think that they really know the full scope of how mental health disrupt the lives of loved ones. I mean, I lived through it. Kenya is here. She's my sister. She can tell you we lived through that. For a very long time. Growing up, we lived through our uncle. Coming from the army and being severely PTSD. He had severe PTSD, and then schizophrenia, severe schizophrenia, and it disrupted for the moment. But I'll never forget, if that makes sense. I'll never forget how it made me feel during those moments where he had his episodes. And it needs to be talked about. It needs to be discussed, and um, people need to get the therapy. There's nothing wrong with getting therapy. You're not crazy. You're just getting some brain help. You're getting help for your emotions. How to express them properly. You know. So yeah. So I'm going to dive deeper. I'm going to do a next session, maybe next week sometime. And listen, if you have any ideas, if you have anything that you want to bring to the platform, any topics that you want to share, so that we can talk about, that you feel is necessary for others to hear, please feel free to send it. I'm all for it. And don't forget, again, to tap that bell so that when I go live, you can get the notification. And listen, share this live with others, tag them in it, bring them to the page, let them know that this is happening. We are almost finished with the very first week of Real Talk with North Fierce Fighter. Oh my goodness. It seemed like just yesterday was my first day at it, but it gets easier every single time that I go live. Yeah, these are some trying times. You know, it's trying, and so if we can just all pull, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take for us to pull together and heal together. You know, Healing is definitely necessary with the times that we're dealing with now. You know, everything is going up. We don't know how we going to pay this bill, how we going to pay that bill. We got to take from here. What's that saying? You got to steal from Peter to pay Paul. And we're definitely seeing what that actually means. Like, well, am I going to feed myself today, or I'm going to worry about my rent? Because I need both of them, right? You know, it's crazy the times that we living in. But hey, we got to talk about it, you know, and we could start some support groups or something. Maybe we could start a support group. I thought about starting a real talk fierce fighter group on Facebook, so that we could have some conversations in the private group, obviously, because some of the topics are going to be sensitive, and then some people may want to share. They may not want to come to the YouTube for whatever reason. I don't know. I just want to create a safe space, you know, for people to come and be able to vent, even if they want to vent. You know, you're welcome to it. This is the space for it. You want to share something, this is the space for it. Yes, you know, for healing, because we need healing. We really do, because, you know, we don't know why people, because you got to be mentally ill, right, to take somebody and put a rope around their neck and drop them down from a tree just because their skin color don't look like yours. That's a mentally ill person for real. And we're not talking about that enough. Mentally ill, you know. But anyway, so yeah, even welcome to the replay gang, because I know there's going to be some people, because I'm watching you, there's some people that wait until the live is finished and they want to go back and they want to watch the video. That's fine too. Just make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, and that keeps the algorithm pushing out these videos. You know, help me while we help each other, right? But this is Real Talk with Fierce Fighter, where real people experience real issues, and we come up with real solutions together. Thank you all again for joining, and hope to see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be any kind of topic you all want to bring up. We just going to hang out here for an hour. It's open discussion. We're going to talk about any and everything. So good night, y'all, and thank you all for joining.
Real Talk with Fierce Fighter. For every parent raising a hand, for every child needing a chance, for every classroom left behind, we speak the truth out loud tonight. Newark, I hear you, I see you, I stand with you. We don't ask for scraps, we ask for justice. Education is equity, equity is power, power belongs to the people, and the people won't be silenced. Real talk, fierce fighter. Real talk for Newark. Real talk, we rise up. Real talk, we move forward. This is your voice. This is our city. This is the fight.